Let's face it, social media has become a double-edged sword. On one hand, it connects us to the world, keeps us informed, and gives us a platform to express ourselves. On the other hand, it's draining, distracting, and often leaves us feeling more disconnected than ever before. So, what if I told you there's a way to use social media that actually works for you rather than against you? Welcome to the pragmatic approach to social media. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Yeah, right, another social media detox video. But hold on a second. This isn't about telling you to quit your apps or go off the grid. We're talking about taking a strategic, no-nonsense approach to make social media a tool that serves your goals, instead of just mindlessly scrolling through feeds that only leave you exhausted. I'm going to show you how to cut through the noise, focus on what truly matters, and make social media a force that empowers your life. Stick around, because this isn't your average advice. It's a game changer, and you don't want to miss it. Number 1. Unfollow the noise, a social media diet. Let's get real for a second. What if I told you that social media could be the source of most of your mental clutter? I know. You're probably thinking, but I love staying connected. And hey, I get it. It's fun scrolling through memes, keeping up with friends, or even finding inspiration. But let me ask you this. How often do you scroll through your feed and feel drained, frustrated, or just plain overwhelmed? Yeah, that's what I thought. Now, before you click away thinking this is just another social media is bad for you rant, hear me out. I'm about to suggest something that might sound a little radical. Unfollow the noise. Yep, it's time for a social media diet. We've all been there, right? You start your day with a quick scroll, checking your notifications, maybe getting lost in a few random posts. Before you know it, an hour has passed, and you're somehow caught up in a whirlwind of gossip, outrage, or endless comparison. You know the type, the influencer showing off their perfect life, the news cycle that never ends, or that one friend who's always posting passive-aggressive status updates. It's exhausting. So why do we do this to ourselves? We tell ourselves that we're just keeping up, but in reality, we're letting these distractions invade our mental space and our time. And guess what? It doesn't have to be this way. Here's the idea. Unfollow the accounts that bring nothing but negativity, stress, or mindless filler into your life. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting you go on a blocking spree or cut off your friends. We're not in high school after all. But hear me out. Unfollow the accounts that leave you feeling worse, not better. The ones that make you second-guess your life choices or leave you scrolling endlessly, wondering where your time went. Yes, I know it sounds drastic, but trust me on this. It works. Let me give you a little example from my own life. A while ago, I realized I was spending way too much time on social media, mindlessly scrolling, getting caught up in other people's drama, and worst of all, comparing myself to those perfect, curated posts. It wasn't a huge shock to realize how much mental energy it was draining. So I took a deep breath and went on a follow purge. I unfollowed the accounts that triggered my anxiety, the ones that made me feel like I was never doing enough. At first, it felt like I was missing out, but soon I noticed something. My feed started to look a lot more peaceful. I had more time to actually engage with things I enjoyed and less time getting lost in the chaos. It wasn't about cutting people off. It was about taking control of what I let into my life. By unfollowing the noise, you're not just trimming down your feed. You're also giving yourself the mental space to focus on what really matters. This is about reclaiming your peace. You're taking control over your emotional environment and saying, "No, I don't need to see that today." It's about respecting your own boundaries, knowing that you don't have to be plugged into everything all the time. Imagine how much lighter you'd feel, how much more present you'd be in your own life. Sounds like freedom, right? So here's the takeaway. Your time and energy are precious, and it's up to you how you spend them. If something on social media isn't adding value or making you feel good, get rid of it. Follow accounts that inspire you, make you laugh, or challenge you in a positive way. Remember, it's not about being antisocial or avoiding everything. It's about curating your space to help you thrive. Your space, your peace, and your dignity. Number 2. Delete for clarity. The power of a social media purge. Let's be honest for a second. Have you ever found yourself scrolling through social media and suddenly felt like you needed a nap, or at least a mental break? Yeah, I've been there too. Now, before you get defensive and say, "But I love staying connected," hear me out. The reality is, sometimes all that connection comes at a cost. Social media, for all its perks, can also drain our energy, stress us out, and leave us with a million thoughts racing through our minds. And here's a radical thought. What if we could clear that mental clutter with one simple move? What if we could delete our way to clarity? Now, you're probably thinking, delete? Are you telling me to erase everything and live in a social media cave? And hey, I get it. It sounds a bit extreme. But trust me on this. What if the purge isn't about disappearing from the digital world entirely? It's about decluttering it, the same way we clear out old clothes or clean out our junk drawer. Let's face it, there are accounts you follow that just don't bring anything useful to the table. Maybe it's the influencer who's always selling something, or the news cycle that's just plain exhausting. It's time for a change. We've all been there, right? You wake up, check your phone, and suddenly you're stuck in a rabbit hole. A post here, a meme there, and a notification pops up, pulling you deeper into someone else's drama. You know the type, the friend who posts nothing but negativity, or the influencer who's always flexing in some exotic location. At first you think, I'll just check in real quick. Before you know it, an hour's gone by, and you're left feeling anxious, envious, or just plain drained. Sound familiar? It's not just you. We're all caught in this digital whirlwind. But here's the good news. You don't have to stay there. Here's the big idea, a social media purge. No, I'm not talking about deleting your accounts, unless that's what you want, of course. I'm talking about unfollowing, muting, and getting rid of the digital clutter. It's the kind of purge that feels almost like a weight lifting off your shoulders. You'll be amazed at how much clearer your mind becomes when you start curating your feed with intention. Get rid of the negativity. Unfollow the accounts that make you feel bad about yourself or waste your time. Instead, fill your feed with positivity, inspiration, and real connections. Sounds refreshing, right? Let me tell you about my own experience with this. A while ago, I realized that social media had become this exhausting, constant presence in my life. I was scrolling through endless posts, getting caught up in drama, and comparing myself to everyone else. I felt like I was constantly reacting to someone else's narrative, and it was draining. So I decided to do a social media purge. I went through my accounts and started unfollowing everything that didn't serve me. The toxic accounts, gone. The pointless notifications, muted. And you know what happened? I felt lighter, more focused, and way more present in my real life. It wasn't about disappearing, it was about taking back control. Here's the thing. This isn't just about removing things that drain you. It's about reclaiming your space, your peace, and your dignity. By deleting the clutter, you're making room for the good stuff, the posts, the people, and the ideas that truly resonate with you. You're saying, I choose what I let into my life. And here's the kicker. You deserve to feel good about what you see and engage with online. So don't be afraid to hit that unfollow button. It's not rude, it's self-care. So, here's the takeaway. Your mental peace is worth more than the likes, the posts, and the notifications. Take control of what you're letting into your digital space. delete for clarity. When you make that space for what truly matters, you'll realize how much more connected you feel with yourself, with the people who matter, and with the world around you. Your space, your peace, your dignity, it's all in your hands. Number 3, mute, don't block, the silent revolution. Imagine this, you're scrolling through your feed and suddenly, boom, there's a post that triggers you. Maybe it's a comment from that one friend who loves stirring up drama, or an ad that just feels way too invasive. What do? Block them? Unfollow? Trust me, I get it. That's the immediate instinct, right? But hold on. What if I told you there's a better way, one that doesn't involve burning bridges, but still gives you peace of mind? I'm talking about muting, not blocking. Yes, you heard me right. The silent revolution is here, and it's way more powerful than you think. Now, I know what you're thinking, but if I mute them, won't they just keep showing up in my feed? Doesn't that defeat the purpose? Yes, trust me on this. It's not about hiding or ignoring. It's about keeping control of your peace. Blocking can feel so final, so dramatic, like you're making a big statement. But muting, that's quiet, subtle, and most importantly, it's all about you taking back your space without the unnecessary conflict. No one has to know, and you don't have to deal with the stress. It's like creating your own little bubble on social media where you only let in the things that make you feel good. We've all been there, right? You know the type. Those people who just seem to pop up with the same old negativity, unsolicited opinions, or drama that doesn't even concern you. Or maybe it's the endless flood of irrelevant ads that take up space in your feed. You feel the tension rise in your chest, your thumb itching to scroll past it, but then you're left wondering, why does this stuff still keep showing up? It's exhausting. So we reach for the big red button, block. But that often creates unnecessary tension. Plus, it doesn't solve the deeper issue. You're still left feeling unsettled and overwhelmed by everything you're being forced to engage with. That's where muting comes in. Here's the game-changing strategy. Mute, don't block. It's simple, it's low-key, and it works. By muting someone, you're essentially saying, I don't have to listen to this right now, but I'm not going to create a huge scene about it. You get to keep your feed clean, maintain your boundaries, and most importantly, keep your peace without any unnecessary confrontation. Psychologically, it's powerful because you're taking control of what enters your space, all while staying civil. And honestly, who has time for unnecessary drama in the digital world? Let me give you an example from my own life. A while ago, I realized I was constantly getting irritated by a friend's posts. She'd share every single little thought, often veering into passive-aggressive territory. Every time she posted, I'd get annoyed, and I'd find myself debating whether to confront her about it or just block her. It felt like a lot of emotional energy for something so trivial. So, I decided to mute her instead. It felt like the most low-key but empowering thing I could do. I didn't have to see her posts, I didn't have to engage, and I didn't have to carry around the stress of that lingering tension. And guess what? I felt better immediately. No drama, no mess, just peace. Here's the truth. This strategy isn't just about avoiding conflict. It's about reclaiming your space and your peace without feeling like you're always having to justify yourself. Mute doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough about your mental health to not let everything and everyone invade your mind. It's about setting boundaries in a way that works for you without making a big deal about it. You don't need to explain yourself to anyone. The beauty of muting is that it's entirely on your terms. No more feeling overwhelmed by stuff that doesn't serve you. So, here's the takeaway. Muting isn't passive-aggressive. It's power. It's about keeping your digital world as peaceful and intentional as your real one. You don't have to engage with everything you come across, and you don't owe anyone an explanation for it. Take back control of your space. Mute the noise. Your space, your peace, your dignity, it's all in your hands. Number 4, engage less, live more, disconnect to reconnect. What if I told you that you could actually live more by doing less? Less scrolling, less clicking, less refreshing your feed every 5 minutes. Sounds crazy, right? But trust me, there's a quiet revolution happening in the world of social media, and it's all about disconnecting. You might be thinking, but isn't social media where all the action happens? How will I stay connected, stay updated? Yes, I get it. We're all addicted to that dopamine hit. But here's the truth. Engaging less doesn't mean you're missing out. It means you're giving yourself space to truly reconnect with life. We've all been there, right? You wake up, check your phone, scroll through your social media for hours, and by the time you look up, the day is almost gone. You're left with this strange sense of restlessness, like you've been busy, but not really productive. And let's not even talk about the endless cycle of comparing yourself to others, or getting caught up in debates and opinions that drain your energy. It's exhausting. You're not alone in feeling this. We've all been stuck in the trap of thinking that constant engagement is the key to living in the moment. But what if I told you that it's the opposite? Here's the secret. The more you engage online, the less you're engaging with the real world. The more you scroll, the less you actually live. So here's the strategy. Engage less. Live more. It's not about quitting social media entirely. It's about taking back your time, your energy, and your focus. It's about realizing that life is happening outside the screen, and the more you detach from it, the more you actually show up for your own life. This idea may sound counterintuitive at first, but think about it. How many times have you wasted hours scrolling through a feed only to feel unfulfilled at the end? Now imagine what you could do with that time. Imagine the things you could create, experience, or enjoy if you simply disengaged from the endless cycle of online activity. I'll give you an example. A few weeks ago, I was having a tough day at work, feeling overwhelmed by everything I had to do. The instinct was to pick up my phone and scroll for a little distraction. But something inside me said, what if I just put it down for 30 minutes and actually focus on something else? I decided to leave my phone in the other room, and I took a walk outside. And let me tell you, it was like a breath of fresh air, literally and figuratively. The walk wasn't anything special, just around the block, but it gave me space to breathe, think, and reset. I came back feeling refreshed, more focused, and ready to tackle my work with a clearer mind. The simple act of disconnecting helped me reconnect with myself, my thoughts, and my environment. Here's the thing. We're all craving a sense of peace, of clarity, and of purpose. But the more we keep engaging with things that don't matter, whether it's mindless scrolling or getting sucked into arguments or debates, the less we get to experience what truly matters. Disconnecting, even if just for a little while, is a powerful act of self-care. It's about reclaiming your energy, your attention, and your ability to live in the present. You don't need constant validation or endless distractions to feel whole. The real magic happens when you give yourself permission to just be, to breathe, to feel, and to experience life on your own terms. So here's the challenge. Engage less, live more. Take back your time, your peace, and your joy. You don't have to be plugged in 24/7 to be part of the world. In fact, when you disengage, you'll find that the world actually becomes more vibrant, more meaningful, and more fulfilling. Your space, your peace, your dignity, it all starts when you disconnect to reconnect. Number 5, delete apps, not memories. The digital detox. What if I told you that your phone isn't just a tool, it's a trap? Yeah, I know it sounds dramatic, but think about it for a second. We spend hours swiping through apps, checking updates, chasing notifications, and before we know it, our day is gone. But here's the kicker. None of it actually adds value to our lives. Now you might be thinking, but I need my apps. How will I keep in touch with friends, work, or even manage my day? Trust me on this. The answer is simpler than you think. It's not about deleting the memories you've made online. It's about deleting the apps that are stealing your time, energy, and peace of mind. We've all been there, haven't we? You wake up, grab your phone, and before you even get out of bed, you've already lost half an hour scrolling through Instagram, Twitter, or whatever app grabs your attention first. And let's be real, you're not even enjoying it. You're just going through the motions, mindlessly liking posts, reading headlines, comparing yourself to people you haven't spoken to in years. The apps are designed to keep you hooked, to keep you distracted, but at the end of the day you feel drained, unfocused, and kind of empty. Sound familiar? So, here's the challenge. Delete apps, not memories. You don't need all those apps to stay connected or productive. It's time to take back your space, both physical and mental. Imagine a day where you're not constantly reaching for your phone. Imagine a morning where you don't start your day by getting lost in a sea of notifications. It's possible, and the key is this. Remove the apps that create noise and clutter and make room for the things that matter. I know it sounds radical. Who deletes social media apps? But hear me out. The truth is, every app on your phone has a pull on your attention, and in today's world, attention is the most precious resource we have. Let me give you an example. A few weeks ago, I decided to do a little digital detox. I deleted Instagram and Twitter, two of my biggest time sinks, and spent the day without checking in on anything online. At first, it felt odd. My fingers reached for my phone out of habit, but there was nothing to scroll through. It was like suddenly being free from an invisible weight. I spent the day with my family, actually present in the moment, not glancing at my phone every few minutes. By the time the day was over, I felt lighter, more connected, and way more productive. And the best part? I didn't miss the apps at all. What I missed was being present, being truly engaged with life, instead of being distracted by a digital world that often isn't real. Here's the truth. We're all trying to find balance. But balance doesn't come from spreading yourself thin across multiple platforms. It comes from choosing where to put your energy. By deleting the apps that don't serve you, you're choosing to reclaim your peace, your focus, and your time. You're saying, I deserve more than this constant scrolling, more than this endless comparison, more than being plugged in all the time. You get to decide what enters your space and what gets to stay. And when you do, you'll find that you can breathe easier, think clearer, and experience life more fully. So here's your takeaway. Delete the apps, but keep the memories. You don't need to be online to create meaningful moments or to remember the things that truly matter. Your life isn't defined by your digital presence. It's defined by your real, authentic experiences. So go ahead, take that detox, and give yourself the freedom to be present in your own life, your space, your peace, your dignity. Take them back, one app at a time. Number 6. The ghosting experiment. Vanish for a week. Imagine this. For one whole week, you vanish. Not literally, of course. You're still around, but you're off the grid, invisible. No texts, no social media, no email responses, just pure silence. Sounds crazy, right? But what if I told you this simple experiment could reset your life in ways you can't even imagine? Now, I know what you're thinking. I can't just disappear for a week. People would freak out. What about work? What about friends? Yes, trust me on this. I've been there too, and the results might just surprise you. We've all experienced that feeling of being overwhelmed by constant notifications, never-ending messages, and the pressure to stay plugged in. You know the type. Your phone pings at all hours of the day, and even when you don't feel like responding, you do. You answer that work email at 10 p.m., reply to a text in the middle of a conversation with your partner, and scroll endlessly through your social media feed, even though you've already seen the same post 3 times. It's exhausting, and it doesn't stop. We've all been caught in the cycle of digital demands that leave us drained and disconnected from the real world. Here's the thing: what if you didn't have to answer? What if you gave yourself permission to ghost for just 1 week? I'm not talking about cutting ties with people or vanishing for good. This is an experiment in reclaiming your time, your attention, and most importantly, your peace of mind. You can set boundaries, and guess what? The world won't end. People will survive without an immediate response. You'll find out that you don't need to be constantly available to be valuable. In fact, the more you remove yourself from the noise, the more space you create for clarity, creativity, and deep connection. Let me take you through what happened when I tried it. One weekend, I decided I was going to vanish for 7 days. No social media, no responding to work emails unless it was an absolute emergency, and I didn't pick up my phone unless it was necessary. At first, it felt uncomfortable. My hand reached for my phone without thinking. But after a couple of days, something shifted. I actually noticed things I'd been ignoring, like the way the morning sunlight poured into my living room, or how deeply I could focus on a task without distractions. The silence wasn't empty. It was filling. By the end of the week, I had the mental space to think clearly, connect more meaningfully with people who mattered, and even come up with new ideas for projects I'd been putting off. Here's what I realized. We think we're being productive by constantly checking in, replying instantly, and staying connected all the time. But in reality, it's a form of mental clutter. We're not truly present, and the more we engage, the more we allow ourselves to be pulled in a million directions. The ghosting experiment teaches you that your time, your energy, and your peace are worth more than the expectations others place on you. By taking a step back, you're taking a huge leap forward. It's about reclaiming your space, your peace, and your dignity. Imagine having that control over your own life, being able to say no without guilt, to pause without feeling like you're falling behind, to simply exist without the pressure to be everywhere at once. This is a chance to find out how much more you can accomplish when you stop chasing the endless cycle of digital demands. So here's the takeaway. Try it for yourself. Ghost for a week. Disappear from the noise, even if just for a little while, and watch what happens. Your space, your peace, and your dignity are worth it. You might find, like I did, that the world keeps spinning just fine without your constant presence, and in the process, you might just reconnect with the best version of yourself. Number 7. Content minimalism. Quality over quantity. Here's a bold thought. What if less is actually more? In a world where we're constantly being told to churn out more content, more posts, more videos, more everything, what if we flipped that script? What if the secret to creating impactful content isn't about doing more, but about doing less, but better? Now, I know what you're thinking. How can I possibly keep up if I'm not posting all the time? Won't I fall behind? Yes, trust me on this, you won't. In fact, you might just find that by slowing down, you'll be doing your audience and yourself a huge favor. Let's be real for a second. We've all been there. We've all scrolled through endless feeds of repetitive, half-hearted posts, each one begging for attention in the sea of content that never stops. You know the type. The endless wave of just posted content, some of it valuable, most of it forgettable. It feels like the bar is constantly being raised, doesn't it? You post one piece of content, and before you know it, there's pressure to post another, and another, and another. It's exhausting, and at some point, it all starts to blend together. What happened to quality? What happened to creating something that really resonates, something people want to keep coming back to? Here's the thing. Content minimalism is the game changer you didn't know you needed. It's about cutting through the noise and focusing on fewer, but much stronger pieces. Instead of churning out post after post, aim to create something that truly speaks to your audience. Think of it this way. One deeply thought out, well-crafted post will always be more impactful than 10 that barely scratch the surface. The beauty of content minimalism is that it's not about working harder or longer. It's about working smarter, with purpose. Why? Because quality always wins. If you've ever read a book, watched a documentary, or listened to a podcast that stuck with you, chances are it wasn't just because it was frequent. It was because it offered something valuable, something real, something memorable. Let me share an example. A while back, I was caught up in the race to post every day, every other day, sometimes even twice a day. I thought I had to keep up with the latest trends, riding the wave of what everyone else was doing. But the content, it wasn't exactly resonating, so I decided to experiment. I took a step back and focused on creating fewer, more polished pieces, each with more depth and intention behind it. Instead of posting every day, I gave myself permission to post less, once a week, with thoughtfulness, with value. And guess what happened? Not only did my engagement go up, but I started to enjoy the process again. I was no longer drowning in the pressure of constant content creation. Instead, I was producing work I was genuinely proud of. My audience started to take notice too. They were engaged, excited to see what was coming next, and actually remembered what I had shared. This isn't just about your creative output. It's about reclaiming your time, your focus, and your energy. Minimalism in content isn't just about posting less. It's about being intentional with what you create. It's about cutting out the fluff and honing in on what truly matters. When you do that, you give yourself permission to show up in your most authentic, creative, and impactful way. This is your chance to rise above the noise and deliver content that actually stands out, not just for the sake of being there, but because it adds something valuable to the conversation. The best part? You don't need to over-explain or overextend yourself. You don't need to apologize for taking a break or for stepping away from the hustle. You don't need to back down from your vision or compromise your standards for the sake of quantity. This is about reclaiming your space and your peace. It's about honoring your craft and giving your audience something they'll truly remember. Because when you prioritize quality over quantity, you start to build something real, something lasting, something that doesn't just add to the noise, but creates an impact. So here's the takeaway. The next time you're tempted to rush through your content creation, ask yourself, is this meaningful? Is it intentional? Will it leave an impression? If not, maybe it's time to embrace content minimalism. After all, your space, your peace, and your dignity are worth more than just filling the void. Create with purpose, create with value, and watch your content rise above the rest. Number 8. The echo chamber detox. Follow someone you disagree with. Here's a bold idea. What if the secret to opening your mind isn't just about agreeing more, but disagreeing more, intentionally? Yes, I'm talking about following someone you don't agree with. I know it sounds a bit counterintuitive, right? You're probably thinking, why would I want to fill my feed with opinions that don't match mine? That's just asking for stress and conflict. But trust me on this, there's more to it than meets the eye. Stick with me here. We've all been in the echo chamber, haven't we? You know the type. The comfort zone of following people who share your exact views, liking posts that affirm your beliefs, and scrolling through feeds that reinforce your worldview. It feels safe, right? But here's the problem. Living in this bubble means we're missing out on the growth that comes from challenging ourselves. We get stuck in this loop of confirmation bias, where every opinion we see just supports what we already think, and we stop growing. It's comfortable, but it's also a little dangerous, don't you think? Now, I'm not saying you should dive headfirst into the deep end of online debates or start following people who are just going to make you angry for the sake of it, but hear me out. Following someone you disagree with, just one person, can completely change how you engage with the world. It's not about picking fights, it's about learning. Why? Because when you follow someone with a different perspective, your brain starts to work a little differently. It's like a workout for your mind. You'll find yourself questioning, reflecting, and even finding common ground in places you never thought possible. Plus, it builds emotional resilience. You'll learn how to handle discomfort without immediately retreating back into your cozy little corner. Let me give you an example from my own life. A while ago, I started following someone who had very different views on certain topics. Politics, social issues, you name it. At first, I won't lie, it felt a little uncomfortable. I would scroll through their posts, fuming at some of the things they said, thinking, how could anyone believe this? But over time, something unexpected happened. I started reading their posts with a different mindset. Instead of reacting with anger, I started asking myself why they felt the way they did. What experiences had shaped their views? What could I learn from their perspective, even if I didn't agree with it? It didn't change my beliefs, but it made me a better communicator and a more empathetic person. I also started realizing that we weren't so different after all. Our end goals might have been similar, but our paths to getting there were just different, and that's okay. So why does this matter for you? Because by challenging your own views, you stop being a passive consumer of information. You start to engage actively with the world around you. You stop letting your feed do the thinking for you, and instead, you do the thinking for yourself. This is about reclaiming your space, not just in the digital world, but in your own mind. It's about strengthening your ability to stay grounded in your beliefs while being open to the complexities of others. You don't have to agree with everything you hear, but you owe it to yourself to listen with an open mind. This is about growing, expanding, and embracing discomfort in a way that ultimately makes you more confident in who you are. So here's the takeaway. Step out of your echo chamber. Follow someone who challenges you. Disagreement doesn't have to be uncomfortable. It can be the catalyst for growth. It's about creating space for new ideas, new conversations, and new perspectives. When you stop being afraid of the voices that disagree with you, you'll find a deeper sense of peace within yourself. Your space, your peace, and your dignity are worth it. Number 9. The social media fast. 24-hour challenge. Here's a thought. What if the key to feeling more present, more focused, and more in control is something as simple as logging off for a day? I know, it sounds crazy, right? In a world where we're always glued to our phones, constantly scrolling through feeds, tapping through stories, and checking notifications every few seconds, the idea of a social media fast might feel like a joke. But trust me, take a step back for 24 hours and you might just be surprised by what you discover about yourself. Now, I know what you're thinking. But what if I miss something important? What if something goes viral and I'm left out of the loop? We've all been there, right? You're at lunch, and instead of engaging with the people around you, you're scrolling through your feed, half listening to the conversation, mindlessly tapping through photos and posts. Or maybe you're lying in bed at night trying to fall asleep, but your thumb just keeps flicking through Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok like it's the last thing you'll ever do. It's easy to get caught in the endless loop of digital distraction, and honestly, we've all felt that sense of overwhelm. It's like the more time you spend on social media, the more disconnected you feel, even though you're technically connected to everyone. So here's the strategy. What if you just stopped for 24 hours? No scrolling, no posts, no checking notifications. Sounds simple enough, right? But here's the thing. This isn't just about taking a break. This is about truly reclaiming your time and your mental space. Why? Because the constant barrage of information on social media can leave us feeling drained, anxious, and unfocused. When we take a step back, we create room for our own thoughts, our own creativity, and even a little bit of peace. It's like hitting the reset button for your brain. I tried this challenge not too long ago. The first few hours, I won't lie, felt weird. I had the urge to check my phone, to scroll, to see what everyone else was doing. It was a strange feeling of withdrawal, but also of freedom. I spent my time instead reading, catching up with friends in person, and taking care of little tasks I'd been putting off. By the end of the day, I felt more energized, focused, and honestly, a little bit proud of myself. The best part? I didn't miss out on anything. The world kept turning, the news kept updating, and I didn't need to be plugged in for any of it. So, why should you try it? Well, here's the thing. Constantly being plugged into social media isn't just a productivity killer, it's an energy zapper. It leaves you distracted, mentally cluttered, and often disconnected from your real surroundings. Taking a 24-hour break from it can be empowering, giving you a chance to focus on the things that truly matter. You'll feel less anxious, more present, and more in control of your time. This is about reclaiming your space, your time, your peace, and your mental clarity. You're not backing down or over-explaining. You're taking a stand for yourself. So here's your challenge. Go ahead and take that 24-hour social media fast. Trust me, you won't miss anything, and you'll gain so much more. You deserve the time to reconnect with yourself, with the people around you, and with the world beyond the screen. Your space, your peace, and your dignity are worth it. Thank you so much for watching. I truly hope this video gave you some valuable insights into how you can take control of your social media and use it to work for you, not against you. If you found this helpful, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps out the channel. And if you want more content like this, be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for upcoming videos. Also, think of someone in your life who might benefit from this approach and share this video with them. Let's spread the word and help others navigate social media in a more meaningful way. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment below. Do you have any personal experiences with social media that you'd like to share, or maybe some strategies that have worked for you? Let's keep the conversation going. Remember, it's all about being intentional with how we use our time and energy. Take control of your digital life and keep moving forward with purpose. Until next time, stay empowered.